from the town of Morrisville Police Department. His presence underscores the valuable collaboration between our community and local law enforcement. Without further ado, I would like to invite our President, Dr. Bharati Pandi, to commence the proceedings with his welcome speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharati Murugesan, Secretary of TamilSangam of Carolina. Thank you, Captain Keith. Again, it's a really pleasure. This session started when we all see there is not a sporadic and elevated number of incidents across our community. As an organization, I thought we will kind of bring someone who is in that area to have some conversation, exchange the thought, and how we can be more vigilant and get expertise from people like officials. So that's how we started this whole session. And Captain Keith, and I really appreciate on behalf of TamilSangam of Carolina, where you have taken some time and share your thoughts and how we can all protect ourselves, be more vigilant, and exchange the information. So no, thank you. Regarding Captain Keith, is a 20-year law enforcement veteran with a career concentrated in patrol functions, special operations, and civil disturbance. He has been with Morrisville Police Department since November 2021. So this session may be in bilingual, but mostly we encourage everyone to ask questions in English so everyone can be on the same page. With that small note, I hand over to our Board of Director, Karthika Jagadiswaran. Karthika Jagadiswaran and Bharat Somasundaram, they reached out to Keith and brought this session. And thank you both. And again, thank you all our board members, to help this session to start. It's yours, Karthika.
Thank you, Bharati Pandi. With your permission, Captain, I would like to introduce my members in Tamil, our language. அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நம் கரோலினா தமிழ் உறவுகளை இந்த பயனுள்ள மெய்நிகர் நிகழ்ச்சியில் சந்திப்பதில் மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சி. I'm happy to share few words about Captain Keith Crickman before we start this session. Captain Crickman has been with Morrisville Police since November 2021. Prior to that, Captain Crickman spent 18 years serving in various positions with the Graham Police Department. Captain Crickman oversees the Patrol Operations Division and is the commander of the Tactical Response Team. In addition, he is serving as a part of an administrative work group to establish a regional special weapons and tactics, that is SWAT team, with Wake County. Captain Crickman is also an adjunct instructor for Alam's Community College Basics Law Enforcement Training Academy, and he holds a Master of Science degree in Organization Leadership from Columbia Southern University. Without any delay, now I call upon Captain Keith Crickman to share his valuable information on various safety measures and tips or guidelines for preventing theft in our community. It's all yours, Captain Crick. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me. So we're going to talk today a little bit about some general awareness things that you can do as part of a community to help not only yourself, but to help each other in dealing with any kind of uptick in crime. Now, I do think it's important to say from the jump or from the outset that statewide, there has been a little bit of an uptick in crimes related to breaking and entering, larcenies, people stealing cars, things of that nature. I know, especially in Wake County, it may seem like it's more than everywhere else, but I have friends in law enforcement all across the state, and everybody is saying the same thing. Another thing that I think is important to talk about is the actual process were something to happen to you, so you would know what to expect. One of the misperceptions that we're experiencing here recently is people feeling like the police department is not working diligently or that their community is being targeted, which is not the case. So that's why I'm touching on this. What most people don't understand is when a crime happens, a patrol officer is going to come out and speak with you as a victim, but it may take 24, 48, up to 72 hours for a detective to even see that case. So, you know, in the event that your house gets broken into, after that initial reporting, it could be 3 to 5 days before a detective even makes contact with you. So you should expect that going in. That way you don't feel like nobody cares or nobody's trying to do their diligence in reaching out to you. So to move on to some of the
आज आपके community meeting
some ways that criminals actually get into your house. I can tell you specifically to Morrisville, one of the things that we're seeing is people breaking into houses. They'll pull the screens off the back windows and go in the back windows on the lower level. And then they tend to leave out the back door. So, you know, just as a general practice, something you can do is make sure that your windows are locked. Also, pay attention to your screens. If you look down and see like the bottom corner of your screen is cut, that's something you should call the police about. That's, you know, obviously if you cut the screen, you would know that, but to see that cut screen, that's where somebody tried to cut it to pry it off. Some other ways that burglars or intruders get into your house is like they'll smash a window or they'll kick a door in. Obviously, before that, they tend to try to check to see if the doors are unlocked and just walk in, which brings us to another talking point of something that you as a community can do is make sure that your doors are locked. Anytime you leave the house, or, you know, even if you're at home, I tend to lock my doors when I'm at home. Even if it's just for a short time, if you formulate that habit of always locking your doors, cars especially, we've experienced a serious increase in breaking into cars. Probably 75% of that are unlocked cars where, burglars or intruders will walk around and just pull on the door handles to see if they'll open. So that's one of the most basic things you can do is lock your doors. So maybe you ask yourself, what should you do if you're at home and an intruder comes into your house? If it were me, the first thing that I'm going to do is make some noise and let them know that there's somebody in the house. Most of the time, people that break into houses don't think anybody's home. As soon as they realize that somebody is home, they tend to leave. The next thing that I would also call 911. The quicker you can call 911, the quicker an officer can be dispatched to come out to your house. So another thing we're going to talk about is any patterns or trends that we're seeing. Like I said previously, one of the things that we're seeing a lot in Morrisville is people pulling the screens off of back windows, going in through the windows. I can't specifically speak for Cary or Apex or anywhere other than Morrisville, but I can tell you that's one big thing that we've seen. Another thing that we're seeing is a lot of breaking car windows to go through cars or to actually steal cars. That happens a lot of times that people leave valuables out in plain sight in a car. For an example, like if you leave jewelry in the cup holder or your wallet in a cup holder, Those are all, those are flags for somebody looking to break into a car. So as far as your home is concerned, maybe you want to know, are there things you can use, or is there anything you can do to assist us with our investigation? One of the biggest things, device-wise, is the Ring doorbell cameras, or actually having cameras on your house. The Ring, the specifically speaking to the Ring doorbells, one of the biggest assets of that is, as part of that, you enroll in the Ring neighborhood. So as law enforcement, when we respond, we're also part of it. We can bring it up and see where every Ring camera is in that neighborhood and request to actually to see the footage from everybody's Ring camera. That actually helps a lot in our investigations. You know, alarm systems on your home are great. One thing about alarm systems that most people don't really know is there's typically a 10 to 15 minute delay between the alarm going off and a police officer being dispatched. What happens normally is the alarm will go off. The alarm company will try to call your home or call you on your cell phone. They'll try that 2 or 3 times before they'll call our dispatch center to send an officer out. So you're already dealing with a 5 to 7 minute delay there. Then it's going to take another probably minute and a half to get an officer on the way. And then on average, it's going to take us, 5 minutes, give or take, to get to your house. So you 10 to 12 minutes is what you're looking at before we can get there, if everything goes as smoothly as possible. Normally, we're dealing with about a 15-minute delay on house alarms. So another thing as a community you can do for each other is know your neighbors. If you know your neighbors, you know who should be in their yard, you know what kind of cars should be in their driveway. That way, if you see something that doesn't fit, you can call us. Obviously, you want to reach out to your neighbor and see if they're supposed to be there. But if not, reach out to us. There's nothing wrong with calling the police and saying, hey, I know my neighbor and this car don't belong here. Another thing, like if you want to report suspicious activity, call 911. Most people understand that 911 is for emergencies, but it's also for situations such as that, where you can call 911 and say, hey, I think there's some suspicious activity going on. That way it's actually tracked, that they actually sent an officer out, and the times, how long it took them to get there, and any notes that you as a person would be telling an officer if you were talking to them directly on the phone. It's all recorded. Another thing that as a community you can look into are some initiatives or resources like a community watch program. In Morrisville, we're fortunate that we have several good, strong community watch programs. If you don't live in Morrisville, you can reach out to your local police department, or if you already have a community watch, you can reach out to your police department. They'll be happy to come speak to you at your community watch meetings, or they can help you with actually getting a community watch started. In Morrisville, we have what's called a vacation watch program. So if you are going on vacation, or you're not going to be home for any period of time, whether that's a long weekend to a week, or you're going out of town for a month, you can call the police department and get your house put on a vacation watch, or you can actually go online to the police department's webpage and fill it out, And what it does is it gives us your address, your name, your contact information, how long you're supposed to be gone, and anything we should know, whether you have two cars in the driveway, or the kitchen light is on, or the living room light's on, things of that nature. So when we go out there, if you have said that, hey, I'm going to leave my living room light on, and I, as an officer, get out there and every light in your house is on. Well, as a police officer, that means, okay, I need to call you and see, did you leave all your lights on, or has somebody been in your house? So that's another good program that we do. Most police departments do have some kind of vacation watch or something of that nature. Your HOAs for your neighborhoods, your homeowners associations, we'll be happy to come out and speak to your homeowners association at any meetings. We also have what's called a lock it or lose it program, which is generally a 9 o'clock reminder to make sure your car is locked and your doors are locked, things of that nature. We also do home security evaluations where we can come out to your house and walk around your house with you and see any concerns that we see as police officers that may catch the eye of somebody that wants to, potentially break into your house. Those are just some of our programs, and all the programs that I've talked about. If you go to the Morrisville Police Department's website, they're all on that page. So in the event that someone does break into your house or cars, obviously that's going to go to a detective who's going to follow up on that. There are some things that you as a community can do to kind of get ahead of that. One of the biggest things is having photographs of your valuables. You don't have to share those photos with anybody. You can take them on your cell phone or whatever. High value items that have serial numbers. It helps a lot if you have those serial numbers. So we deal with a national database for stolen goods. And one of the quickest identifiers of that is knowing the serial number. The other thing is making sure that all of your insurance is up to date. Specific items sometimes require specific insurance. Just as an example, like my wife's engagement ring has to have its own separate insurance policy. Even though if something happened to it in our house, our homeowner's insurance wouldn't cover that. The reason I tell you that is because if you've never had your home broken into or your car broken into, that can be somewhat of a traumatic experience. It's a huge invasion of privacy, and I understand that. Sometimes we have things in our house that are family heirlooms that are very valuable, that have been in our family for hundreds of years. And for those to be taken away, in the event that were to happen, what I would not like, what I want you to avoid is having to hear, yes, your stuff got taken, but your insurance doesn't cover it. So that's why I bring up the talking about making sure your insurance is up to date. Again, any serial numbers or photographs of valuable items. The other thing I would encourage you not to do is to leave items in plain sight. If you're like me, you're bad about coming in the house, you take your wallet out, you set it on the counter, and you leave it there until you leave again. Well, if somebody were to break in your house, that's an easy target. So have a separate place where you put your valuable stuff. And it may not always be what somebody's thinking. In the event that you own a gun, you need to have that locked up in some form or fashion. At the police department, we have gun locks that we can give out, or I bought a safe for mine, so I tend to keep a lot of stuff in my safe. Yeah. So, as a community for each other, like I said, you all are obviously a very tight-knit community. You can look out for each other. If you're going on vacation, you can ask each other to, hey, can you ride by my house every now and again and check on it, make sure everything looks okay. Don't hesitate to call us or call the police if you feel like that's needed. I've never experienced someone not or some, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's nothing too small for you to call us about. Okay. If it's a true concern that you have, feel free to call us. The worst thing that's going to happen is we're going to ride out there and talk to you and say, hey, you got nothing to worry about. But don't feel like you're wasting our time. That's our job, is to be here for you as community members, as the public. That's what we're charged with doing, is providing a service to you. So don't ever be afraid to take advantage of that service. Okay. So the other thing I'll say is, when we get into, if y'all have any questions, I'll also take them in the chat.
Sure.
Bharti, do you have a question? Follow up with him.
We can ask the submitted question, or we can take questions from the members. We can
Okay.
wait for at the end.
So, Captain, it was a good information. Now, I have our board of director Kapil. He has a question. So, Kapil, you can go ahead with that.
Yeah. Hi, Captain. Thank you. Thank you for the informative section. Actually, it was like lots of information that we don't know. Like you were able to provide us and enlighten us like with details like on how to safeguard ourselves. I do have a couple of questions. Like I myself like a couple of things I also want to let like and things that like I have recommended my friends and neighbors is like I always ask them to have like if they have a alarm system at the home. Right, I always ask them to keep multiple panic buttons like in each floor, just in case, right? Like if they find any intruder, any suspicious activity, they can hit the panic. And like again, like people tend to leave the garage door opener in the plain sight in the car, and that's another thing. Like many like intruders, like if they were able to open the car and they can easily get into the home using the garage door opener. That's the other thing. And like and also for the doors and windows, like I used to recommend for them to have the protective film, so that like even someone want to break the glass, it doesn't break easily, so it cannot it's making them very hard to enter. So those are certain things like I do take. And also like for the deadbolts, I recommend everyone to replace the like normally it comes with 1.5 inch screw. Like I ask them to replace it with like 3 inch or 3.5 inch screw, so that it is not easy to break in through the front door. So one thing I want to check with you, Captain, is like I want to ask like how to react in case of distress. Like what kind of signals that we can give out to let somebody know like we are in distress.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand what you're asking. You want to know that in the event you have an intruder in your house, what is something you can yell out to let people that you know you're in distress?
Yeah.
The most direct thing is the word help. Okay, like if you yell for help, that's it's kind of universal, and it works really well. So I'm also thinking in terms of, you can call 911 and just set the phone down. Okay. And you don't even have to really say anything to the phone because the 911 dispatcher can actually hear what's going on in the background. So you can just talk normal and they're going to pick that up. Another thing that we're actually experimenting with, I can't remember the name of the program, but it's specific for cell phones, is when you call 911 from a cell phone, you can opt in and the 911 dispatcher can actually access the camera on your phone. So they can actually see what's going on at the same time. But yeah, back to your question. One of the most universal thing that you can yell out is help.
And I do also hear like someone mentioned like we can turn on and off the light like a couple of times. Is that like another known signal too?
Yeah. It is. The only downside of that is somebody's got to be in the right place at the right time to see that. You're better off, honestly, utilizing that time to call 911.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. And we do have a question from our member that when you say and during your session also, I have follow-up question. So when you say insurance, the valuables that you get, so usually the gold jewelries or some diamond rings that we purchase, if we insure it, we should have the receipt handy or how the process works. Like when it got theft, so we need to hand over that to the investigating officer, and how much the reality or the feasible way that we can claim the lost valuable ones. Can you touch base on the topic?
Yeah. So typically what you do is you would actually call your insurance company, like whoever has your homeowner's insurance, and tell them and ask them if you have to have a separate policy for, jewelry or any other high value item. And when I'm saying high value item, I mean, something that's a couple of $1,000s. Like you don't have to have a separate policy for your televisions or your computers. It's typically going to be something like jewelry. The two that I know for sure are jewelry and firearms. You have to have a separate insurance policy for those. It's not astronomical. It's really more or less a rider on your current insurance policy. As part of that application process, the insurance company is going to want you to take a picture. I also had the biggest one for me personally is my wife's engagement ring, because that's one of the most expensive things I've ever bought. But it comes with its own certificate, so I had to give them a copy of that certificate. And I think as an add-on, I think you had asked about for reporting purposes to the police. When they come to your house to take the report, all you have to do is show it to them. And typically, like I can speak for us, what's going to happen is we'll take a picture of that. But that's and then just add it to the report.
Okay, thank you, Krickman, for the information. We have Shanmugan, Sean from Treasurer. There is a question. You can go ahead, Sean.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Kartika. General question about, you mentioned about the window, grid is slid on the bottom. Is there anything, the pattern, if the guys are doing that pattern will be posted in the site somewhere? The things will change every time, right? Do you have any other kind of website we can follow these kind of patterns going on or something like that to be careful?
Okay, I want to make sure that I'm understanding your question. You want to
Yeah.
know if there is a way that we can let you know what the patterns are that we're seeing?
Yeah, somewhere in your, your website or police website, you can see those things. Yep.
So it's actually really challenging for us to do that.
Okay.
One, because we can't talk about active cases. Okay. So it's not like I can tell you, okay, at this person's house, this is what happened, and this person's house, this is what happened. The other thing is it changes from, week to week. It changes from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's really a challenge to continually do that, keeping it up to date. The advice that I would give you for that is, ever so often you can call the police department and speak with an officer and say, hey, I live in this neighborhood or I live in this area. Are there any trends or patterns in crimes that I should be aware of?
Okay. Thank you, Captain.
Mhm.
Hope that answers your question, Sean.
Yep.
And Captain, we have Bharat, one of our board of directors. So we already circulated a Google form of to our members who cannot attend the session right at the time. So we have a couple of questions handy with him. Bharat, you can go ahead one by one.
Thank you, Kartika. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Captain, for your time and giving some valuable information for us. So there are a couple of questions from our members which came in as in the feedback form. So I just wanted to go through with you. So first thing is like, so how helpful is keeping our front and back porch lights will help to avoid any break-ins. Is that really going to help us in doing so? Is the first question that we wanted to know, Captain.
Absolutely, it does. Bad guys don't like to be seen. So
Yeah.
the more, the more light that you have is that's obvious. That's going to help. You may never know it because if it's doing its job, it's going to deter it from ever happening. So you'll never know about it. But I can tell you that yes, it absolutely helps. Just to touch on something that we were speaking about earlier. Another couple of things that you can do is one, when you go to bed at night or when you go inside for the night, don't leave your garage door up. A lot of people have bad habits of leaving their garage door up all night. That's inviting somebody to come into your garage and steal. The other thing is pay attention to the lights outside of your house. If you have multiple lights on your porch, if one of the bulbs goes out, change the bulb. What that is not doing so, what that's a sign of is somebody that's not paying attention, which people who like to steal things, those are the kind of people they're looking for, the people that aren't paying attention, because they can steal your stuff and it may be a week or two before you realize it's gone. Sorry, I didn't mean to go. Go ahead with your next question, man.
No problem, Captain. So the next question is, so do we need alarm system in the house? So alarm systems itself, we have two categories, right? One is connected to the central and another one is just to get the homeowner to get the notification of who's coming around and what activities are happening around the home. So what does the police department recommend? What kind of alarm system can be very useful in situations like this?
So I can't recommend one specific system. Here, I'll tell you the benefits of both. Okay. One, for a monitored system, which is like an ADT or, that type system, is There's always going to be, when the alarm goes off, somebody's always going to know about it. So, if the alarm company can't get you, they're going to send us. For a closed system, which is where you as a homeowner simply get a notice. One, obviously, that's a little bit cheaper system because you don't have to pay the monthly monitoring fee. But you can see in real time what's happening. With that, what's important, if that's the system that you chose, what would be important is that you make sure there's some kind of data backup, because as an officer, where it becomes useful for us is to be able to actually see the crime happening or the crime happen. If it's just a real-time system where once it happens, it's gone, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good on an investigative either.
Thank you for that. And so the last question from our members is like, we all know that one way of securing all the valuable items like the gold jewelries and any important documents in a safety locker, right? Is there any other alternative that we need to follow to secure these valuable items and the documents?
So you can also have a safe deposit box at your bank, which is a secure facility, which is actually, it's not housed at your home. It's an off-site facility. You have the fire safe boxes, which is what you're talking about, or you can buy a larger actual safe to go in your home.
Okay, got it. So that's all we had from the members, Captain. Thank you so much again for your time and patiently answering all the questions. I think we have a couple of more questions from our other members.
Captain, before we go to next person, like I have the follow-up question on this. So when you say like keep it all the valuables in the safety locker, just recent times when we hear from our neighbors, like the city, they just took away the safety lockers by the entire safety lockers. So we hear like only the particular valuable items like gold and diamonds they are targeting. Are they using any special detecting device kind of thing to examine and take only that? Because I hear like they keep silver and gold together in a box and they took only the gold item, not the silver one. So have you came across any in your investigation like it's happening, or how to prevent that one? Like what would be your best option?
So I have not heard of any incidents where the intruders or burglars differentiated between different gemstones or things of that nature. Now, typically they will take gold over silver because gold is more valuable and it's just easier. I honestly, I don't know of any options as far as differentiating. At some point, it becomes a question of convenience, right? It would, on a day-to-day scale, keeping your silver jewelry in one place and your gold jewelry in another place, at some point, it just becomes a hassle. Most people just keep all their jewelry together.
Okay, Captain. So you are saying like keep it in different places to make it more secure. Got it. So we have another question from our Vice President, Anand. Yeah, you can go ahead, Anand.
Yeah, thank you, Captain, for your valuable information. My question is, okay, somebody put the gun on my head and they robbed. Everything is done. So after that, what is the follow-up process? How we can make sure that I can recover my things? And I stay cool during things, during the robbery. No question asked. Take whatever you like. Leave me alone, and then everything is done.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you're right, you're wanting to know what's the process if you've been broken into and your stuff's been taken, kind of what is that process? Um, and what can you do to make sure that process continues to move along? Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So once that has occurred and you've discovered it, you call the police. The police are going to come out to your house. They're going to talk to you. They're going to get some information from you. Um, they're going to ask you to walk them through how you found out that things were missing. They're typically we're going to give you, once that's done, they may take some pictures. They may call. In Wake County, we have a separate agency that actually comes out and processes crime scenes. So they may call them out to process the crime scene. At the conclusion of that, typically you're going to get a business card with what they call it, with your case number on it. And then, like I said, they're going to go back and write that report. And then typically you're looking at probably 4 to 5 days before, from the other end of it, before anything else happens. Now, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, okay, because the officer that took that report is digging into every database that he or she knows to try to see if what you have reported stolen has shown up. They're going to be filling out the report. They may touch base in person with a detective, but it could be 4 to 5 days before an actual detective speaks to you. What's going to happen is typically our detective will reach out and say, hey, I've been assigned this case. I just kind of want to walk back over it with you. So you may talk through it again. I can't speak for everyone. I can speak for our detectives. They're probably going to go ahead and tell you what action steps have been taken and kind of where they're planning on going from there. And then our detectives are required to talk to you or to make contact with you in some shape or form. It may be an email, maybe a phone call, it may be in person. Typically every 2 weeks to 30 days. They have to make contact with you and at least say, hey, I'm still working on your case. I haven't been able to generate any kind of investigative lead or anything. They have to do that from the time they're assigned the case until the case comes to its conclusion. Now, what's important to know is that conclusion may be, hey, we found your stuff. We arrested a bad guy. Hey, we found your stuff. We don't know who did it. Or, hey, I've done everything I know to do with your case, and there's just nothing else that I can do, so I have to close your case out. Unfortunately, that does happen. We all, every police officer wants to arrest the bad guy, but sometimes we just can't do it. There's just not enough for us to be able to do it.
Okay, thank you, Captain.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of the cases, what I feel is, if you get them, yes, we can recover things. But a lot of things are going towards a cold case. Or prioritization is getting like a lowest priority for this kind of burglary. So, any comment on that?
I don't know that it's getting a low priority. Obviously, sometimes things happen with limited resources, we have to prioritize, but nothing becomes a cold case until we've had it for years. Okay. Sometimes cases do get closed out simply because there's nowhere left to go. Like we've done everything we know to do. And unfortunately that there's just nowhere else to go with it. However, based on the trend we have seen statewide with crimes, burglaries, breaking into cars, stealing cars, like that's statewide. Every law enforcement agency is getting had a significant increase. So we're all working through that problem. So as a result of that, it has become more of a higher priority, because typically if you as a victim have your house broke into, typically you're not the only one. There's been several houses broken into around your area. And if I can focus on yours and figure out who broke into your house, more likely than not, I can clear up the break-ins in your area. So because of that, it's becoming a higher priority. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I understand. Totally understand the situation. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Captain.
Mhm.
Thank you, Anand. We have a question from another member, Mohan Vairakanu. Mohan, you can go ahead with your question.
Thank you, Captain.
Mhm.
Great speech. There is a person sitting in your backdrop. His name is Walver, on the side. He wrote 1,330 quotes. So out of that, I always, correlate with police and the fire service. And so he said, let me say it in Tamil. பிறப்போக்கும் எல்லா உயிர்க்கும் சிறப்போவா செய்தொழில் வேற்றுமையான். So what it means is, by all men by birth are same. What the difference is what they do, right? So everybody is the same, and then what they do is what is great. So fire service and police department always go out to save somebody. They never go out for for partying or something. So it's always risky. And then the recent incident in Charlotte is heartbreaking. So thank you for your whole team. I have two questions. One, I think the similar things happened in New York at the time. One of the police officers said that, some community, they leave the shoes outside their house. So which means thinking that, the shoe can bring in dust inside, so they keep it outside. He suggested not to keep it outside. So the intruders can see the pattern of what are the houses having the shoes outside. That's one soft target. And then people also have a garland on their window, like a welcoming or something. And he said that try to avoid those. I don't know whether you come across, or if not, that's okay. But again, I want to thank you, TamilSangam, and also you, sir. Great.
Sure. Well, thank you for saying that. No, I've never really experienced anything like that. So the way that my mind works, the flip side of that, to me, if you leave shoes outside, that's an indication that you're home. Yeah. So that's
Right.
not always a bad thing.
Captain, what Mohan has said is like, we leave our shoes outside unattended for some days, and we have the dust settlement on top of it. So it identifies that the people are not at home for so long time. So it gives a clue for the intruders to get into the home. So am I right, Mohan?
Yeah, correct. So everybody's shoes
Okay.
outside. Yeah, everybody, instead of the shoe rack is not inside, they will keep it outside. Yeah.
So I've never experienced anything like that, but
Okay.
on that note, one thing that people do pay attention to is mail in your mailbox. Like if they're walking down the street and open your mailbox and it's crammed full of mail because you haven't been home for a week, that's an indication that you're not home. So, as a community, we were talking earlier, things that you could do is you can reach out to one of your community members or one of your friends and just say, hey, can you pick up my mail for me while I'm gone?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. And also they can inform post office to, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mohan. So we have another question from our member, Meena Alanjian. Yeah, you can go ahead, Meena.
Thank you, Captain. Very useful information. So my question is mainly regarding the human safety. So if a robber comes and I don't have my cell phone where I cannot call 911 and I cannot shout help, I know that nobody is going to hear it. Can you explain to our members what's the best way to react when I'm seeing a robber face to face?
So what I would not do is show. And so if you're confronting a robber face to face, what I would not do is let them know that I'm scared. Now it's human nature. Even me, if I was confronted in that situation, I'm going to be scared. Okay. But I'm going to do my best not to show it. I may pick something up and throw it at them. You know, yeah, that would be a really good move, is to pick something up and throw it at them.
If they have a gun or a knife or some arm,
Now
it
becomes
will that
a little,
aggravate
yeah,
them?
yeah, that becomes a little bit different. If they've brandished a weapon, the best thing to do, there's no property that's worth your life.
Correct.
Okay. You know, tell them to take what they need to take. And the first chance what I would be doing is looking for my exit. Okay. Whether that's running the other way or, depending on the layout of your house, if you can run around them out the front door or the back door or whatever. If they brandished a weapon, I would not attempt to engage them.
Yeah, thank you. And I had one more question. So we talked about gold versus silver. They will of course take the gold more because do you see a pattern where they are no more, they don't worry about or care about the electronic items, even TV or cell phones or anything like that? They concentrate on gold alone?
Nope. No? So typically the strategy is to take anything that they can carry in their hands. There's not so much a pattern. If you had asked me 5 years ago, it was really big TVs. That's what people were stealing, were, your 70, 75-inch TVs. They not so much that anymore. But it's typically things that they can carry with their hands that are transferable. Because what happens is they'll take them to a pawn shop and pawn them for money.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meena. Do we have any question from our members? You can raise your hands or you can put it in chat. So, Captain, before we get another question, I do have follow-up question on what Meena has asked earlier. So, the jewelry that we keep it right in different places. What I hear from a couple of the neighbors where they have got recent theft, they said they put it in different places and artificial jewelry and then the real gold. They differentiate correctly and then take only the real jewelry and go. Do they use any special device to take that? If you have any idea, you can share with our members.
Like I said, I have not heard of any incidents where they're differentiating between types of jewelry or real gold versus not real gold or different precious metals. I have not heard of any of that. There's no real devices other than that what a jeweler would use that I know of to differentiate between real gold and not real gold. That's just something that somebody would have to know.
Yeah. So thanks, Captain. So,
Mhm.
Captain, thank you very much again. So the one thing that we are all little concerned is one thing is you in the initially you already addressed, but we worried that it's a community targeted robbery, but but we hear from many things it's not true. So that's kind of one information. Another one, we have been hearing these many robberies, and is there a way that we can know that okay, there is a progress and this has been this has been fixed and these culprits have been found? Do we have a chance to know those things? That will kind of give us a kind of a sense that yeah, there's something really happening, and we should be we, we should be taking most care, and then police is doing their effort. Is there any, how do we know that the things are moving along from the police department side?
Yeah. So you can follow your local police department on social media. So I'm going to speak as a whole, because obviously not everybody here lives in Morrisville, right? So you can follow your local police department. What I have found in my experience is, when you deal with kind of what we're dealing with now, which is a string of larcenies, breaking-ins, it's typically a small group doing it. So if one case gets solved, they tend to solve 10, 20, 30 cases at the same time. That's the kind of stuff that gets pushed out on social media or is in the news. So that's one way to kind of keep up. The other one is you can reach out to your local, your local politician, council person, council representative, things of that nature. Sometimes they have a little bit more information. Things like that. Those are ways that you can kind of keep up with what's going on. Unfortunately, we can't. Police we typically don't talk specifics with people that are not involved in a case.
I see.
If that makes sense. So like I couldn't talk to you about Karthika's case unless she was there or she had given us permission to.
I see. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Some of the information that you shared actually very new, at least for me. The police department has an option of 9 o'clock reminder, and we could invite to come and have a home security. The level of security, and it's a good idea. We kept photograph of all the items that probably will help the police when an incident happens. Thank you for sharing those information.
Captain, we have one last question from our member in private chat. So when we identify some frequent threats is happening in our community, so is there any app or services that we can request any department, like they're from Cary, so they to come for patrol service like frequent watch within the community? Do we have any services provided by police department?
So I'm thinking of, I believe that there is an app that you can access. We have it's a crime mapping app. So you can see kind of where crimes are happening around you. I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure that it's on our the community resources tab on the Morrisville PD's website. It ties into the GIS mapping in Wake County. That's one. I can't remember. There's a couple of social apps like Nextdoor, maybe the name of it, which is like it's almost like a chat app, but it does it by what's called a geofence. So, within, we'll call it a half mile of your residence, people will be connected inside that circle. So it gives you a way to chat about what's going on inside that circle. I want to say it's like a half mile to a mile and a half, something like that.
Okay, hope it might be useful answer to you. So the member who asked, so it's called Nextdoor app, right? So in Morrisville, you're saying it's a Nextdoor app. Okay.
I just got a
Next door
question.
neighbor.
So, like, is there any alerting service that where we can voluntarily go and subscribe our cell phone number so that, like, whenever there is some increased number of activities going on, we get automated alerts?
I think so. We have what's called a reverse 911 system. What happens with that is, again, it works off a geofence. So if there's anything of significant importance, they'll inside that geofence, like every cell phone will get a call from the 911 center that'll give you a message that says, hey, this is what's happening, this is what you need to do, things like that.
We need
I
to
try
opt
to
in.
go ahead.
Is that like we need to subscribe or opt in, or like by default, if we are in the geofencing area, we are going to get the call or alert?
Yeah, so with the reverse 911 system, it's not optional because it's used for public emergency. So if you're inside that geofence, you're going to get it.
Okay, that is in case of emergency. Like, yeah, I mean, I haven't received anything so far yet. Like, but what my question is, like, is there any general information that we could get? Say, like, hey, recently there are like increased number of burglaries happening in this area, so stay alert. So, like, unless I see these forwards in the WhatsApp or like any news, I do not know like there is an increased number of burglaries happening. So just in case if I miss it, like what if I'm out of station? So if I miss something like that, I wanted to know like if there is a way that I can subscribe my cell number so that like I get like automated alerts to my phone.
So it's not, there's no automated way that I know of. We were talking earlier about our crime mapping application, which that will give you the information that you wanted to know is, kind of the crimes that are occurring in certain areas. It's just not automated. You would have to go and look at it.
Thank you.
We have another question from Sujata. Yeah, Sujata, you can go ahead with your question.
Hello. Thank you, Captain. I do have a question about if face-to-face situation, can we use pepper spray? Is it okay? Pepper spray?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think so.
How about the pepper powder? Is it okay to use that one?
Yeah.
Kitchen. Okay.
Yeah. So in North Carolina, it's not a specific thing that you can use, right? What the law says is to defend yourself, you have to have a genuine fear that someone is going to hurt you. Okay. What the only thing the law really differentiates between is using force and using deadly force. And the only difference is if I do this, somebody, I'm having to use force, but if I do this, there's a likelihood that somebody's going to die. So I would argue that if I came face to face with a burglar in my house, I would be in fear for my life. Okay.
Okay.
So some people may not be. I would be, which that is the requirement to use deadly force, is you have to have a genuine fear that somebody is going to be killed as a result of what this person's doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
So
the
if-
same question that we have from one of our member. If thieves enter our house, what is the law if we use deadly force against them? So I think it's being already answered. You would like to add any other point on top of it, Captain?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is you have to be able to articulate that based on what this person was doing, you felt in fear for your life. There was a reasonable belief that you could die or someone in your home, your family, could die as a result of what this person is doing.
So in the same lines, if I have a gun, I should not shoot the person who is running away from my property, correct?
So each situation is going to be kind of unique. As a general rule, as a general assumption, I would say no, because they're demonstrating that they're trying to get away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. If they're trying to get away, I should not take any other action.
Well, it's not to say that you shouldn't take any action. You shouldn't take any action that would result in them dying as a result. If that, right? So once someone has tried to get away or remove themselves from the situation, they've demonstrated the opposite of the requirements to use force against them.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Anand. And thank you so much, Crickman Captain, for all this patientful tips and guidelines for all the ask from our members. So the thing like when the alarm system that is 15 to 12 minutes, that is an unaware thing like for most of us. So that is a very good point that you have chosen, that you have conveyed us. And Morrisville vacation program is an add-on one, and the next door thing. These are the few things that we are not aware of it, so that is really helpful. So if you don't have any question anymore, like I would like to hand over to our secretary, Mrs. Bharati Murugesan, for the thank you note and the feedback one. Thank you. Thank you, Captain, sir.
Thank you, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
As we close this insightful session, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Captain Gate on his enlightening speech on community safety. Your expertise and guidance are invaluable to us, and your commitment to our community's well-being is truly appreciated. I also express my sincere gratitude to all participants, members, and our board of directors, Bharat and Kartika, whose dedication and drive made this event not only possible, but also a success. Lastly, our sincere appreciation is extended to our proud sponsors, whose continued support empowers us to pursue such vital initiatives. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Captain.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.